Let's cover our armor for registering in the library. Hello everyone, this is JiRegister. Welcome to the Mentor Code Lab. In previous episodes, we covered the item registration, block registration, and many other smaller registry systems like entities, block entities, recipe, and other stuff. One of the two remaining topics were armor. Now, to understand what I have and what I need and why I'm rewriting the armor system, I have two different sections actually that I use the armor. One is here inside mod model provider. Now, this is not a registry. This is a model for the datagen. And as you call, it's register all armor models. Now, register all armor models is here. It's calling register armor model. This one calls another overload here. Now, before 1.21.4, we had a change that caused a little bit of headache, and we had to use the build humanoid or build humanoid and horse. But right now, we don't need them. Also, if you look, build humanoid is equipment model builder add humanoid layer with the identifier for the name. And the horse is the same thing, except we add a layer for the horse body. Now, these two, again, are related to datagen and the modeling on the datagen. Now, when I'm scrolling down this whole section, all I see is getting an armor material that has nothing to do with registry.register. Actually, we get a key, then we return an armor material that has nothing to do with registries here. All I have is this register name that returns a registry key, okay? And nothing else. It's a registry key. So I'm not covering anything related to registering inside Minecraft system in here. And these are all model datagen stuff. So honestly, I don't think I will have an instantiable class here. All I need is a way to solve the identifier name. And we already had seen one of them inside registry helper. So we are accepting the mod ID directly here. Okay, this is registry helper. I will create another class and I will call it armor helper. And armor helper, I will add a few different things. As you see, we don't have any constructor. Let me get rid of these. We don't have any constructors, anything, but I need this identifier. So I will copy it, I will paste it here, and then I will start adding stuff. These should be static because we don't want to instantiate these. So public static that returns an armor material. We call it get armor material. And then let me just copy paste my parameters because these are simply self-explanatory enough. We are accepting the name of the armor material, then the durability, defenses for boot, leggings, chest plate, helmet, body, then enchantment value, then the equipment sound, the toughness, knockback resistance, and repair ingredient tag. Okay, now we want a registry key of equipment asset. We call it key equals to. Unfortunately, we can't use the get key of registry helper because it just returns a registry key of registry key with the identifier of block. Actually, I think I can use it. Let me see. So we say registry helper dot get key, and by the way, we need to have a string called mod ID. So we send in the mod ID. Then for the key type, as you remember, we have a registry key type here. We will say registry key dot of registry identifier from net Minecraft util dot of vanilla, and here make sure that you type it correctly, equipment underline asset with double S. Now this is the key and we need a name here. So no, we can't actually use it. I'm derping. Let me cut this part. As I suspected, we can't use this section. Okay, we can't use the helper. We have to say registry key dot of this part that I was typing, registry key of registry identifier of vanilla, and then the identifier of the name. However, we have to send in the mod ID now. So that's it. This is our key. A little bit complex, but I just copy pasted it from vanilla. So nothing big. Finally, return new armor material. And here we use the durability, then the util dot make new enum map equipment type dot class. After parentheses, we put a comma and we go for a pair of parentheses. Inside the pair of parentheses, we type map, and this is a lambda, so I will go on the next line. The map goes into that. Put a comma at the end, semicolon at the end. Yeah, after the curly brace close, one parenthesis, put a comma, and go to the new line. Okay, here goes the map. So So map.put the equipment type dot boots, and we want the boot defense, semicolon, map.put equipment type of leggings. Then we have, what did I call it? Leggings defense, and this is not body, this is boot. Then have map.put equipment type of chest plate. Chest plate defense, let me duplicate it. This one should be helmet. And of course we have the helmet defense. And finally the last one is body. Body is used for the horse, but we are covering it here because we want to go in one fell sweep and get our materials. So after these, we go with the enchantment value, the equip sound, then we have toughness, then we have knockback resistance, and finally repair ingredient. And one last thing is the key. Now we can close the whole thing with a semicolon. It may look confusing, but what we did is just add a durability, a map of everything, and then enchantment, equipment sound, toughness, knockback resistance, repair ingredient, and as the last parameter we need the registry key. So the second parameter that is map is this whole section. Of course I could break it down like so. It may make it more readable. I don't know, maybe, who knows? You can do it as you wish. Make it as readable as you think is possible. Anyway, that's our armor material. Now armor material aside, the rest of the methods are related to datagen, and it's not really related to the armor stuff itself. Here is a dilemma. I can add them under datagen helper, or I can add it under armor helper. Now normally when I'm working with models, I would want to have a model helper separately, and it would cover everything for armor, for blocks, or anything else. So I think that's it for time being. So I will create a Java class and I will call it model datagen helper. Here again, we will have some statics, and let's start with this public static void generate all armor models. We need an item model generator, we call it generator. Then we have an item array that we call it items, then armor material, and we call it material. Now here is the thing, instead of items we can call it armors to make it more obvious. Now we have equipment type, we call it a slot. Then we go for loop and we say item inside armors, and let's call it armor. Now inside the for loop we say string slot name equals to objects from java.util require non-null, and here we say armor dot get components, then dot get data component types dot equipable. Basically what we are doing is that from the armor item we are getting every component, and inside the list of components we want the equipable data component, and we make sure that it's not null. If we send in something that is not equipable, then this will cause a crash with null pointer exception and stuff like that. Makes sure that our code is correct. Then after this we want to get the slot and finally get the name of the slot. Then we say a slot equals to null. After that we go into a little bit of a if loop situation. So we say if slot dot equals, if a slot name dot equals to equipment slot dot head dot get name. So if we are the head, then we say slot equals to equipment type dot helmet. We copy this, we paste, and in front of if we put else if it is the chest, then we are chest plate. Copy this. If we are on legs, then we are leggings. If it is feet, then we have boots, not body, boots. Finally, if this is body, then we have body. Now we compared every slot and we got the correct slot. At the end we check if the slot does not equal to null. So if we found a correct slot, we call another overload. So generate armor model for the generator with the item, or here we call it armor, and the material and the slot. And that's it. Now we want to write this overload. So here's the thing, should I keep it public or private? Honestly, I think I will keep this one as public. So I will say public static void the name of the method that accepts an item model generator. We call it generator. Then we have the item. We call it armor. Then we have an armor material. We call it material. And finally, equipment type. We call it slot. And here I will call another overload, and that is generate armor model with the generator, with the armor, the material, the slot, and finally I will send a false here. Again, I will copy this whole method, and at the end I have a boolean that is saying, is it dyeable? Normally you will have armors that are not dyeable. The only dyeable armor in the game is the leather armor, and I want the ability to generate a model for a dyeable armor for everyone because this is an API. This is not personally used by myself, but being an API, you can't avoid it. So identifier, we call it ID equals to, we get the material, we get the asset ID, and then the get value. So this is the identifier of the material. Then we say generator dot register armor for the armor with the material dot asset ID with the slot dot as a string, and finally the dyeable as the value. I think things has changed because this is stream ID prefix. We didn't have that before. I think I did miss something here because, or things has changed the place because this is the equipment key and this is the ID. So the material dot asset ID will come here. Equipment key. Let's see. This will be material.asset ID. This will be a slot. Yeah, things has changed between the versions. Okay, for this method, I had to pause the video and do some research and ask people around. However, no one gave me a solution or a dedicated answer to this method and how I'm doing things. However, someone provided another code for me inside Fabric, and it's this guy. It's a data provider implementation for armors, but the thing is that if you look into this whole thing, you will see that he's asking for a by consumer of the registry key of equipment asset. Long story short, it looks like if we are asking a registry key of equipment asset somehow, we are in the correct direction. Now, I'm not sure if this will work or not, but we will see when we progress forward and when we have the final data generating the files for us. And if this works, we wouldn't need to write our own provider anymore. One thing that I was thinking between the episodes is that I'm putting everything related to armor models inside model data gen helper class. I prefer to have anything that is related to the armor inside the armor helper class, not here, because that way I will be sure that I can remember where things are. Basically, when I'm doing my own mod, maybe 6 months later, a year later, and I want to develop a new mod, and I think to myself that, hey, you know what? Where was that model generator for armors? Well, I'm talking about armors, so the very first place that comes to the brain is the armor helper class. Because of that, I will cut everything from the model data gen helper and I will put them under the armor helper class. Also, I have two other methods that I'm not going to use myself, but who knows, someone may use it. So public static that returns equipment model, and it's called build humanoid, that accepts a string mod ID and then a string name. This guy returns the equipment model dot builder dot add humanoid layers for the identifier of the mod ID and the name. Finally, we will build it and we will return it. Now, what's wrong here? Identifier of, oh, layer type. This is changed again. No. Add humanoid layers. That's it. Then I will copy this, I will paste it, and I will rename it to build humanoid and horse. Finally, after the build.add layers for the identifier, before the build, I will say that add layers of equipment model dot layer type dot horse body, comma, equipment model dot layer dot create with leather color for the identifier of the mod ID, comma, name, and after the identifier, comma, false. And then I will hit the build and I will do everything. So I will break this line, move it a little bit forward, and that's it. Now we have everything related to armor models for the data gen. The final thing that I want to do is change this name, model data gen helper. That's a mouthful, so I will call it model helper. Why not? This is it for this video. In the next video, actually, we will come back and handle everything else related to data gen and get done with our register class, at least as much as I think it would be needed.
If you like these videos, please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on that bell so that when I publish a new video, you will get informed. Have fun, everyone. Bye.